It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running, welcome in. Musso at the box, presented by Gotlit Light Installers. LSU, they fall 2 out of 3 over the weekend to the Texas Longhorns in Austin. Win game number 1, 8-2. Fall in game number 2, 11-7, before dropping the finale 6-2 on Sunday afternoon on the 40 acres. Buckle up. We will recap all of it here over the course of the next half hour or so on Musso at the box. Not really looking forward to doing it, but also kind of looking forward to doing it because there are conversations that need to be had, and we will have those here. Smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed up on the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app. Just search Musso at the box. Subscribe both places. That way you can take the show with you anywhere you go here throughout the course of the 2025 season. Follow me on social media as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we get too deep, let me throw out a few disclaimers here, okay? And let me be perfectly crystal clear. LSU is 4-2 in the SEC. They have a winnable series against Mississippi State coming up at home, in which case you would be 6-3 and still tracking for 20-10. LSU is in a very, very good place in the SEC as it stands. If I would have come to all of you before conference play started and said, hey, after 2 weeks, LSU is going to be sitting at 4-2, will you take it? The majority would have said absolutely, because it has you on track for all the goals that you want. And it's early, and you feel like you have a head start. You don't necessarily feel that way coming out of this weekend, but that's where you are. In a big picture scenario, as things sit, nothing has been decided about LSU's season. There is going to be no concrete statement on where LSU will end this season in this show because it's March. And you have 8 SEC weekends left with a bunch of midweek games mixed in. There's a lot of baseball left. That actually will be a big part of this as we talk about the issues that LSU does face and how they need to clean those up if they want to get to where they want to go and how they go about cleaning that up. So again, LSU's in a fine spot. They are 4-2. And you have a winnable series coming up at home this weekend. Clear? Clear. Now let's talk about the weekend that was in Austin. And we're going to leave the whole recap of Friday to the side. We'll talk about Zac Cowan, because I know plenty of y'all want to, and I kind of want to still as well. But LSU was awesome on Friday night. You want my full thoughts on that? It was a lot of fun. Go watch the immediate reaction video for that. We're going to start with Saturday. And I really kind of just want to start in the 5th inning. But you go through the first 3. Harrison and Ianson traded zeros. Thought Ianson was pitching really well through those 3 innings. LSU, second trip through the lineup in the 4th. They finally get on the board against Harrison. You'll remember that was when you loaded the bases with nobody out. You had to walk to Milam. Then a fielder's choice by Hernandez. You would have loved to get more than 2, but you got 2, and you spotted yourself a lead. In the bottom of the 4th inning, Ianson dealt with the same thing Cade Anderson dealt with early in the game on Friday. Texas was not seeing him well. They were not hitting the ball hard, but it just kept finding holes. Nothing that he really gave up in the 4th inning was hit hard, yet the game was tied. And then LSU, as the offense does, they respond immediately. 3-spot, you're back up 5-2. 3-run lead. You feel like you're in complete control of this weekend. Halfway through it. And in the bottom of the 5th inning on Saturday, the whole of this series changed. And it started with the decision to pull Anthony Ianson after 4 1/3 and 78 pitches. Up 3 when all he needed was a ground ball and he's out of that inning. That's where it started. But before we get deep into that, let's go back to Friday night and talk about Zac Cowan and Jay Johnson's decision to use Zac Cowan in the manner that he did. And I know everyone wants to talk about this and has been talking about this since Friday night. I've been included in that. And I'm going to say this now. I'm going to talk about it here one more time. This is it. I want you to listen. I really want you to listen to me and consider everything that I have to say about that. And if you still disagree with me, fine. We will agree to disagree, and I'm not talking about it again. Look at the situation LSU was in before the top of the seventh inning. Cade Anderson had given you an awesome 6. He had gone over 100 pitches for the first time, didn't walk anybody, struck out 8. Cade Anderson had made a statement and proved that he is a Friday night guy in the SEC. In that 6th inning, you had the solo home run from Rylan Galvan that cut the lead to 2. And Zac Cowan had started warming up at the start of the 6th inning. At least they flashed him on the screen. They showed him in the bullpen at the beginning of that 6th inning. So he's going to continue to warm up. He's clearly next in line. He is hot in the bullpen. That is the first key part in this. You were up 2, and he is hot and ready to go into the ballgame. So he's coming in. You're not sitting him down. There's a lot of risk there, injury, things of that nature. You're just not going to do that. He's hot, ready to go in. He's coming in. LSU, because their offense is what it is, had the 4 spot in the 7th, and that puts you up 6 runs. They still bring Cowan in because, again, he's hot. I have no problem with that. Zac Cowan would then give you 3 shutout innings, not walk anybody, strike out a few, throw 55 pitches. And LSU wins game 1 in dominating and impressive fashion. And everybody asked after, should they have used Cowan? Should they have burned Cowan? And I was okay with that decision, and I still am. Jay Johnson saw an opportunity, and we're going to get deeper into it, but Jay Johnson saw an opportunity right there in that moment to win game number 1. When we were given our series prediction on the preview, what was the one? What did I lead that with? What did I lead that with? I led it with, you have to at least get 1. You can't get swept. It's hard to sweep in this league. It's easy to get swept in this league. That's an old adage from Paul Maneri, and it's true. Jay Johnson saw an opportunity to salt away game number 1 with one of his best bullpen arms. Yes, up 6. He took it. It worked. You won game 1. You saved everyone else on this pitching staff. And what we've talked about is the depth of the staff being so key, being the strength of it. You had everyone available, including Case and Evans. Like, that's what is driving me nuts about this conversation about Zac Cowan. The way some of you, and I say some of you, are reacting to the Cowan thing, it's like LSU used Zac Cowan and Case and Evans, burned them both 50-plus pitches, and you didn't have any of them for the rest of the weekend. And that's just not the case. You still had your best bullet in Case and Evans available on Saturday. You just couldn't get to him. And you couldn't get to him not because you used Zac Cowan for 55 pitches in 3 innings on Friday night. That has nothing to do with you not being able to get to Case and Evans on Saturday. That has nothing to do with you losing the game on Saturday, in my opinion. There are other pitchers on this team, and they have to execute better. LSU used Zac Cowan to close out a 12-5 game against Missouri the week prior. And I know, before everyone starts getting up in arms, it's not apples to apples. I get it. He threw an inning and a third there. He was much more efficient, threw 17 pitches. There is a world that Zac Cowan gets through Friday night on 30 pitches or so, through 3 innings, 32, 35. He wasn't as efficient. He's facing a better lineup in Texas. You can say you have so much more margin for error on Friday night with a 6-run lead. Why not use Schmidt, Ware, those guys? Get them some experience, ease them in, all of those things. And this is my retort to you on that. Yes, you do have more margin for error if you're throwing strikes. And those two guys, through 2 weeks, have proven that consistency in strikes has been a problem for them. Y'all, they inherited a 3-run lead against Missouri and damn near gave it up because they kept falling behind in counts in clean innings at home. You can't run that risk in game number 1 of a series when you've been so dominant. You have to close it out. So he goes to Zac Cowan, who he knows is going to throw strikes, and he knows is going to get him that all-important win. It's going to save the entirety of his pitching staff, and you have 2 chances to win 1 game and steal a top 10 series on the road. That's his thinking, and I'm A-okay with it. I'm never going to fault him for playing to win, and he played to win on Friday night. Whether you like it or you agree with it or not, or you agree with me or not, I don't care. That is inarguable that Jay Johnson played to win on Friday night, and I am never going to criticize a coach for doing that. Now, back to Saturday and the bottom of the 5th inning, where this series changed. Cowan is now a non-factor. Anthony Ianson needs a ground ball to get out of this inning. He has pitched quite well. At this point, hadn't been a lot of hard contact. He's through the lineup twice. It looks like Texas is having a hard time seeing him, and they go and they pull him. That decision, I didn't agree with. And here's why. What is the one thing we've talked about with Anthony Ianson throughout this whole season? He gets stronger as the game goes on. Y'all, if there was ever a game to pull him early because it wasn't going well, that was against Nebraska and Frisco. He gave up 5 runs in 3 innings. They didn't. They left him out there. The offense started chipping away, and they entrusted him to go against an offense that was in the NCAA tournament a year ago. In front of 11,000 people, they said, hey, keep going. And he did, and he got stronger, and he got you through 6, and the offense kept going, and he held the line. And he has not been afforded that opportunity yet in conference play. That's why when everyone wants to remove him from the rotation, I push back, because you actually haven't seen them allow Anthony Ianson to be Anthony Ianson. And don't give me this that he's pitching worse, and man, well, they don't trust him. If there was ever a game to take him out early, it was Nebraska, and they didn't do it. We're going to talk a lot on the preview episode for Mississippi State. I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler. What do I want to see on Saturday with Anthony Ianson? I want to see them let him be Anthony Ianson. Let the kid go, let him pitch. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But in the bottom of the 5th inning on Saturday, it felt very forced to get to Ware, to get to Schmidt. And I say that with confidence because Jay Johnson, after the Saturday game against Missouri, when asked about Ianson not making it through 4, said we really needed him to get one more batter. That's all we wanted him to do was get through the lineup twice, and he almost did it. Implying that after the 4th inning, he was coming out anyway, and they were going to Connor Ware. Why? I understand you have a lot of guys. You have to keep everybody happy. You're trying to figure out who fits into what role and all those things, and that's great. But if you've got a guy out there who gets stronger as the game goes on, let's let him get stronger as the game goes on. Now, you go to Connor Ware. He walks the first hitter he faces on 5 pitches. Jay's seen enough. Quick hook gets him out. I like the quick hook. If you can't throw strikes, shouldn't be in there. Goes to William Schmidt. And Schmidt struggled throwing strikes. Again. You'll remember, gave up the homer to lead off the inning against Missouri in the 7th and walked the next 2 guys. Schmidt came into the game. He had no feel for his curveball. He couldn't land it. It was only heater, and Texas teed off on it, especially with him behind 3-1 seemingly to every hitter. And at that point, the ball game changed. The series changed at that point. LSU was in firm control before then. You had snatched everything back in the top of the 5th and quieted that crowd again. And after that 4 spot, the energy was in that place and it would never leave, even after LSU put up 2 in the 6th. You can complain and bitch all you want about Zac Cowan's usage on Friday night. This series turned because the guys you brought in after Anthony Ianson couldn't execute. And LSU needs more from Connor Ware, and they need more from William Schmidt, plain and simple. They just do. Those are 2 guys that you're going to count on, and that they're going to keep running out there. And that is a good thing, and we'll get to why momentarily. But you need more from those guys. Because if just one of them executes, and you get out of that 5th inning not allowing 4, right? Maybe you only allow, the run that scored on the pass ball from Ianson. Maybe Schmidt comes in, he's throwing strikes. Galvan never hits that 3-run homer. And you get out of that inning, at that point, you would have been up 5-3. And then you add the 2 in the 6th. Let's hypothetically say everything plays out the way it did offensively. You add the 2 in the 6th. Schmidt's executing. We're just using him as an example because he was the pitcher in the game at that moment. And then when you get to the 7th, you can give the ball to Case and Evans and say, hey, go get us 3 outs. Go get us 9 outs. Let's win this series. Then nobody cares what happened with Zac Cowan on Friday night. It's all hindsight because of how the game played out. When you really look at it and you look at the plan that they were trying to execute, like they did a week ago against Missouri, where they turned to Evans in the 7th and said, hey, champ, we need you to go get us 7 outs. Can you do it? Or we need you to go get us 8. It was 8 out. We need you to go get us 8 outs. Can you do it? Or whatever it was. And he did, and it worked. Then no one cares what happens on Friday. And that's why I refuse to highlight that decision, because there are other guys on this team that have to execute, and they didn't. And that is it. That is the end of story. They did not execute, and they have struggled executing for the last couple of weeks now. And that is where this entire series changed. Then you get into Sunday, and Chase Shores struggled. He threw 30-plus pitches in the first, but did a great job to keep it to 1 run. But the struggles just kept going for him. He only walked 2. I thought that was encouraging. He was around the zone more after the first couple of innings. Thought the slider looked a little bit better. One of the bigger issues for him this time was the sinker was flat, and it got hit hard. You saw Shores give up a little bit more hard contact, I thought, than we have previously. And the pitch count became an issue immediately, and you knew he wasn't getting deep in the game. And unfortunately, he just couldn't keep you close enough. And we'll have that conversation going forward. I don't really want to touch the starting rotation in this show. Maybe we'll do that on Monday. And on the other side, Ruger Riojas dominated you. He's good. We talked about him in the preview. I even deemed him the X factor in the series. Boy, wasn't he. But the one thing I'm not going to do is put any of this on LSU's offense. When you look at the series as a whole, LSU had 13 of their 29 hits come with 2 strikes. They scored with 2 outs like they do. They showed off the power. They showed off the versatility. LSU was outscored in the series by 2 runs. Texas put up 19 runs to LSU's 17. They had 2 good offensive games. You had 2 good offensive games. You both got dominated by a really good pitcher. Just so happens theirs came in the rubber match of the series. It's a big difference maker when it comes to your offense. Thought the offense was great. So how do you fix the pitching staff? Or how do you start to fix the pitching staff and the bullpen? Where's the hope? Why will this get better? How can you help this get better? Let's talk about it. But first, I want to remind you about Gotlit Lights. Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Go there for the quote, not just Christmas lights anymore. We've told you about the premium permanent outdoor landscape lighting they offer, front yard or backyard, residential or commercial. You're hosting a private event, need temporary outdoor lighting. Gotlit Lights, they have you covered there. They're creating and making wreaths for you now for Easter, 4th of July. Any real holiday you want. Hell, you just want a wreath to put up on your door season round for spring, for summer, for fall, any of the seasons. Gotlit Lights, they can help you with that too. Any outdoor lighting needs you have, you go to Gotlit Light Installers, you go to gotlitlights.com, you get your quote, you work with Derek and his team, you see the outstanding customer service and the outstanding personability and relationship building that they offer. Gotlitlights.com. How do you fix the bullpen? Where's the hope? And you know what? I'll go to Twitter real quick for this because this worked. We were talking about, the Cowan situation. And Arlen on Twitter, at one point in the convo back and forth with just a few people, said, so what's the solution? Do we not trust any other pitcher on staff to be able to hold a 6-run lead with 9 outs left to get? That seems like a major problem if true. And my response to that, and I put it on Twitter, I'll just repeat it here. That's the $1 million question right now with this team. That is what's holding them back currently, is the lack of consistency in strikes in the bullpen. Cade Anderson has been very, very good. Cade Anderson has been excellent on Friday night. I think Anthony Ianson has done well. I really do. I've likened him to Ty Floyd in the 2023 season. Did that on Friday night, or did that on Saturday night, where everyone's just trying to find a way to get him out of the rotation. And all he does is he keeps going out there, pitching well, keeping LSU in games, just like Floyd did. That worked out pretty damn well in the end. Shores is working his way back from an injury. He's going through a lot of new things for the very first time. He had 18 and a third innings. I've been preaching patience with him since summer. So you focus in on the bullpen. And the quick answer, and obviously I'll give you more, but the quick answer to it is you keep going. You keep playing. You keep working. Baseball is a long season. It's a long season for a reason. You're always better at the end of it than you are at the start of it. So you keep playing, you keep working, and you trust that guys will improve and emerge. And you should have trust because it's happened the last 2 seasons for LSU. Yes, including last year under Nate Yeskie, who everyone already wants to fire again. I shouldn't say everyone. Who a lot of people already want to fire again, and it's March. And here's what I will submit to you. The last 2 seasons through 25 games, LSU has been in a very similar spot to where they are pitching-wise. In 2023, through 25 games, LSU had a team ERA of 3.13. Now, that skewed a little bit because you had Paul Skeens on your team who, through 25 games, had probably given up like 1 run or maybe 2. So that skews things a little bit. But you were still north of 3 as a team with an ERA, even with that guy doing that. So that actually shows you a little bit where the struggles did lie through 25 games with that 2023 team. We all remember how that worked out. Ty Floyd emerged as a solid number 2 for you, more than solid number 2 for you, set a record in the College World Series. Riley Cooper really emerged down the stretch of that season to be what we all thought he could be. Griffin Herring had great moments throughout his freshman year, but really at the end, and especially in Omaha. Thatcher Hurd in the postseason turned into a Swiss Army knife for you out of the bullpen. It just kept going, kept getting better and better. Nate Atkins, like, we know how that played out, and they rode it to a national championship. Everyone wanted to crush the bullpen, not just here, nationally. Remember the graphic the SEC network kept throwing up? When Skeens pitches, when anybody else but Skeens pitches. And it didn't matter. A season ago, you'll remember LSU's pitching staff started out real hot. When LSU's offense wasn't doing well, the pitching staff carried you through pre-conference. And then you got into SEC and it went pretty poorly. In 2024, through 25 games, LSU had a team ERA of 4.04. Now, stats aren't totally updated. I imagine when they are later this evening or early Monday morning, LSU's team ERA will fall somewhere in between 3.13 in 2023 and 4.04 in 2025. Excuse me, in 2024. The 2025 will fall probably somewhere in between there. Probably a little bit closer to the 4.04. But do you remember how last season turned out under Nate Yeskie? Gage Jump emerged coming off of the Tommy John surgery, like you're hoping Chase Shores does, and became your Friday night guy and was awesome starting in that Missouri season series through the rest of the season and into the postseason. That gave you a legit 1-2 punch. Christian Little emerged and had the best moments of his college career at the end and unfortunately got hurt. The jump that Griffin Herring made from year 1 to year 2. You saw Thatcher Hurd flash once again in the postseason. It came together. This one can too. So you'll keep running those guys out there. You'll trust in the emergence. You'll trust in the improvement. And down the back half, you'll be a better pitching staff than you are right now. The other thing you can do is start to introduce a few more guys because you have the depth. You can change up roles. Hey, you've tried Ware Schmidt twice now after Ianson to mixed results. Let's give Connor Benj a shot at that role. Connor Benj threw strikes on Saturday night. DJ Primo threw strikes on Saturday night. Maybe you go Primo Benj. You want the lefty-righty deal? Maybe you go Primo Benj there, and you let Ware and see if that can't bridge you to Evans potentially, and you let Schmidt and Ware work it out on a Sunday after Chase Shores. Maybe that's something you explore. Maybe Jaden Newt, after another outing on Tuesday, is ready for the weekend, and he becomes an X factor for you. Maybe you end up getting guys extra work in the midweek, and they start to climb the ladder, and you can give them more opportunities. I'll say it again. LSU has too many arms on this team to not put forth a competitive pitching staff. And ultimately, I think that they will. Those are just a few of the things that I offer you going forward as potential solutions. I'm not going to come here empty-handed, right? So that's what I give you as of now as something that I'd like to see them try. Because you have the arms available. Use them. Find your best combo. You would have loved for that to have been figured out, but unfortunately it hasn't been. Eventually it will be. And when that happens, LSU is hopefully going to be in a position to make a run at this thing. And I think that they will be. Why? Because like in 2023, you have a dynamic elite offense that is versatile and is not going to be held down for 9 innings and can can score in multiple different ways and inflict, punishment on the opposition in multiple different ways. Jay Johnson is going to win with offense, but you're going to have a little bit more from that pitching staff to make it happen. We'll see if they make any of the tweaks that we've talked about. But you have to do something because you can't run it back for a third weekend in a row like you just had it in the bullpen. There has to be some shuffle there. We'll see what they do. LSU drops the series to Texas, 2 games out of 3. They fall to 22-3 overall in the year, 4-2 in the SEC, have lost back-to-back games for the first time now here in 2025. Be very interesting to see how they respond coming home against a very game ULL squad that is chaotic offensively on Tuesday night. We'll have plenty to talk about with that as we go forward. We'll have a conversation about the starting pitchers as well going forward, because I do have more thoughts on Ianson and Shores and things of that nature. But the bullpen is the black eye from the weekend in Austin, so we spent most of our time talking about that. They're back on the field Tuesday night. We'll have a preview for it. Smash the like button, subscribe. All those things are greatly appreciated, and be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.